Hello, this is Eric Bobrow of Bobrow Consulting Group, creator of the ArchiCAD Master Template, with an ArchiCAD video tip. Today we're going to look at a technique that makes it very simple to create rafter tails and delineate the roof edging rather than using the simple volumes that you get when you draw basic roofs and beams for the rafters. In this example project, which is supplied with Master Template, we're seeing now a small residential project here on the inside view. Let's take a view from 3D. This project is used in Master Template to demonstrate many of the features in context. Here we have some saved views. Here's a perspective. Now, as we zoom in on this, I'd like to point out one thing that's got some extra detail here, and that is the rafter tail. So if I rotate this around, you'll notice that each of these elements here is carved. And when I open it up in the object settings, it is actually just a very simple shape. In other words, there's just a horizontal or rectangular cut here, but in 3D you can see that it's got a complex shape. That's because it's been trimmed by a solid element operator, a complex form that's trimmed it off to make it have this sculptural look. Now notice also the roof piece here, which is thick in the main part of the roof but is thin over the rafters. And you'll notice every roof piece is like that. When I select it, they all have that notch cutting out. So let's take a look at how that's done. I'm going to go back to the floor plan here, and I'll pick up the settings of the roof and of the floor, of the wall, and we'll just go off to the side and draw a little piece. So I'll draw a piece of wall, say 6 feet long, and then go and create a simple roof here that rests on the wall. And we'll make it at say 9 feet here, and then I'll go and draw this piece to sort of an arbitrary distance. But I will extend the roof edge out a foot, and we'll take a look at this in 3D. So you can see just a very simple roof and wall connection. Now I'm going to go back and select this roof and drag a copy of it on top of itself, basically making a second roof right on top. So now there are 2 roofs. One of them I'm going to go and extend out another foot and shorten it back to the face of the wall. So now I have 2 roofs. One is the original one, and one is just outside the wall and extending further. If I go to 3D, we'll see the 2 roofs. Now, this extra piece of roof I'm going to drop down, and I'll drop it down 3 inches in this case. So you can see now it's underneath, and it's going to create that notch. So I'm going to go select it here and use the solid element operations. And in the solid element operations, I will make this the operator. And then I'll select the real roof, the main roof, as the target, and use subtraction as the option here. So I'll execute this. And you can see now how this main roof has been cut into. Now, in order to be able to see it better, I'm going to select this roof and change some of its attributes. I'll go into its settings and make it glass, so we'll be able to see through it in the 3D window. I'll also change it for section purposes to be just a simple empty fill rather than the composite that the other roof was. And now you can see the shape a little bit more clearly. Now let's look at how we do a rafter tail. So I'll go to the beam tool, which has been set up right now with just a simple rectangular beam, 3.5 by 7 1/4, so 4 by 8 or something similar. just wood, and I'm going to pop that in. So I'll go in and let's say draw this straight across, and if we look in 3D, we'll see I've got a horizontal beam. Now I'm going to take that beam and actually tell it to tilt, and I know that the angle here for the roof is 18.43 degrees, which is a 4 and 12 slope. If I want to actually check that, of course, I can select the roof, and you can see here the slope. So now that beam is in the right angle, but it's really not quite the right height, and it's much easier to set that height in a section view than it is in a 3D view. So I'm going to go to the section tool and put a section right in line with the beam. So I'll select the section and open it, and we'll see here's the beam or rafter, and I'll just select it, and I'll go to this intersection point and drag from here up to where it snaps there. So that's precisely in the same area as the cutout, and is supporting the underside of the roof there. Now the volumes here and the actual construction is certainly something that one could spend more time refining, but I'm showing a very quick way to model these rafter tails, and you can of course take it further when you're done. So if I go back to the floor plan, let me go now and take that. Actually, we'll just take one more 3D view and see it's repositioned itself. But I'd like to make it a sculptural end, so I'll go to the wall tool in this case, and we're going to use a sculptural wall. So instead of using a straight wall, I'll pick a profile, and in Master Template we have quite a few profiles already set up for use. There's one here that's for the eave, and it's an example of a type of shape that in this case is the cutting shape. So in other words, if you look up above in the preview, you'll see a solid shape that is, you could imagine, would be the part cut off of a rafter, leaving the sculptural piece behind. So that's what I'm going to be placing. I'm not exactly sure where to place it in 3D, so I'll place it just on the floor plan, and then in the section, again, I'll just position it precisely. So I open that section, and here it is down low. I'll just grab this and move it sort of in the general area, and then zoom in and drag from this snap point, get a snap point there, and take it over here. So now you can see I've got it precisely fitted into position. Now I can go even in this view and tell it to be the operator, and go select this beam or rafter and be the target and execute it. And now if I go back to 3D, we're going to see that that shape has been cut. Now this beam here, I've made it as glass, but I forgot to put the edge color as glass so that it would make it easy to see through it. So now we can see that. So that's how easy it is to create the roof shape and a single rafter tail. Let's go and duplicate the rafter tail and see what happens. So if I select this and I multiply it, perhaps do it with a spread, and let's say every 2 feet, it could be 16 inches, it could be whatever it needs to be, but I'll just make a couple of copies here, and we'll take a 3D view, and you can see that they've been trimmed by this operator as well. Now when I'm done working on the operator, I may want to select this shape. Let's see. Select that and change its layer from say a wall to the layer that we have in Master Template for solid element operations. That makes it disappear from our view, and I'll do the same thing with this roof. So now you can see, okay, that surprised me. I thought we had that trimmed. So I'll go back and I will put the layer back. I'll use our quick options here, this button here, and I'll change it to the layer we have in Master Template, layer combination where the solid element operations are visible. And I'll go and just make sure that this trim element is the operator. Whoops. And that these two elements here are targets, and we execute. And now if I go back to show the building only without the solid element operators, we have a nice clean result. So let me show you how you can do this for a lot of roofs and walls all in a very quick succession. So I'll go back and pick up the settings for the wall tool and just create a series of walls. So here's a simple building shape. I'll go to the roof tool and I'll go tell it to create a series of hip roofs on this at a 9 foot with 4 and 12, and let's say a 1 foot overhang. Now these are the original roofs, let's say. We'll just take a quick look to see what we've got. And you can see here's the basic building shape. And I'll close up the solid element operation so we have more of the screen to look at. Then I'll go back with the roof tool, perhaps in this simple case. Instead of copying the roofs one at a time, I'll just recreate the roof structure, but this time with a 2 foot overhang. And I might as well just drop it down to the 8 foot 9 that I know I need. So now we've got these outer pieces. Now these outer pieces extend all the way into the ridge line, which is not what I want. I want them to only be outside the building. So I'm going to use a very simple technique of splitting them along the outside face of the building, and then using the eyeball cursor to say this is the part that I've split that I'd like to delete. So now this part here is just the outer part. So I'm going to repeat that for each of these roofs. So I split along the outer edge of the wall, tell it to leave selected the inside part, and then delete it. And just go very quickly. Splitting each one of these. And you can see how even with a number of roofs, this is a quick process. So here's my last one. So at this point, these outer roofs I'll go in and just very quickly set them to be glass, to be the simple shape for a section here. And I will also make them be the operators, and then select all of these roofs here as the target and subtract. So we can see in 3D the results of that operation. I'm going to select the outer roofs here and put them on the layer that is for special operators. This will make them disappear when I switch my layer combination to show the building only. Then when I go to 3D, we'll have a very clean representation of the shape. At this point I'm ready to create the rafter tails, and of course I could use the beam tool, but I'm going to actually take advantage of the roof maker wizard by selecting all of the roofs and going to the design menu, roof maker, roof wizard, telling it that I'd like to create rafters of the appropriate size, and it will create all of the other ones as well. Let's see here. We'll tell it to go ahead and create them on the layer it wants. And we now have some rafter tails very, very quickly. Now they're not sculptural, so let's see how we can do that very expeditiously. Now I'm ready to draw a cutting tool. The wall element here, which I will set up, instead of being a straight wall, I'll set it up as a profiled wall here with the eave cutting tool. So I'll go draw this across. If I had recorded the height previously, I could use that, but if I'm not sure, then I'll just go and repeat that process of creating a section. And opening the section. And dragging the shape into position. And then if I look at it in 3D, you can see that it's nicely positioned. But instead of doing the cutting right now, I'm going to repeat it around the shape, around the building, before I do the cut, so I can save time. So I'll simply mirror a copy across the axis line. So I've mirrored the copy, and I'm going to stretch this to there. Mirror copy along. Mirror copy and last one. Okay, so now if I go to 3D, I'll see all of them there. And I'm going to use Find and Select, which is a great way to work with these things as a whole. I can select this element here and say that I'd like to use its settings and select all of them. So you can see that it's selected all 6 of them very easily. And go back to the solid element operations, where I'll make these the operator. And then I'll need to select one of the rafters as an object, but I don't necessarily want to get just objects at 9 feet. I can go in and change the criteria perhaps to the name and find out all the rafters that have that name. But it's not getting all of them because some of them have different names. So I might want to actually say the name contains the word rafter, and then it selects all of the rafters and make them the target. Then I do the subtraction, execute. And you can see they've all been carved in terms of the shape. And then as a final step, I'll just select these walls, the 6 of them, and put them on that layer that has the solid element operators hidden. And at this point, I've now got all those beautiful rafter tails trimmed, and the building is looking pretty nice for only a few minutes work. Now, sometimes one might want to experiment and change the shape of the rafter tails, and it's very easy to do that using these tools and this approach. I can go to the Complex Profile Manager and open up that shape and edit it. So here's the shape that was being used. and I can go and select it, and let's just do a simple edit to see the effects. I'll just straighten this segment out. Now you can see this shape here. As soon as I store the profile and go and tell it to rebuild, all of the rafter tails change like magic throughout the building. Now I can have a set of materials, and in Master Template we have this set up with instructions for how you can work with all of these things. There's a set of profiles and a guide for setting things up at a 1 and 12, 2 and 12, 4 and 12, etc. All of the different roof slopes here. And what I'm going to do is simply take another shape with the fill tool, and let's say I might want to try this one. So I'm going to copy that and magic wand it, cut it from this one where I've got all of my resources, and go to the one that actually is in use. I don't need to save any changes for what I just did, but I'm going to paste this in. And this shape here, I will go and drag the alignment point. Now this is critical. This X here is the project origin, or the origin point for this window, and that's where we have control of the profile when we're drawing it. I'm going to go and rotate this to be the angle that I need here, and because I know that it needs to go from this point at the edge of the roof to the wall a certain distance, I'll just adjust this profile perhaps a little bit to make it more compatible with that shape. So at this point I'll get rid of the other profile and make sure that this one has a material that we're using, the glass. And again, as we look behind here, as soon as I store this and update the 3D window, we get the new shape. So there you have it. A great way to use solid element operations and complex profiles to create rafter tails with a sculptural form, and how to also prepare the roof with a solid volume in the main area, but a shape here you can see notched out to allow the rafter tails. So this is Eric Bobrow of Bobrow Consulting Group, creator of the ArchiCAD Master Template. This was November 2009 ArchiCAD video tip. Hope you enjoyed it.